In fact, let's take a look at the Constitutional Amendment Bill's focal amendments, because this will help us understand where exactly are the sticking points, why are the southern states opposing it, why is there so much controversy regarding this. So let's look at the Constitution Amendment Bill. These are the focal amendments that have been proposed. Number one is increase in the Lok Sabha strength. Obviously, we have been having a fixed number of Lok Sabha seats. The amendment will allow for more number of Lok Sabha seats, and that is from 543 to 850 members. They want to expand it to 850 members, looking at the rise in population across the country. 815 seats for states and 35 seats for union territories. So they are given the division between the states and the union territories as well. Out of the 850, they want to allot 815 to the states and the rest to the union territories. Let's also look at another amendment, that is a change in Article 82 delimitation rules. So they also want certain changes in the delimitation rules. What are those changes? Which is the provision mandating post 2026 census, delimitation removed, and we also have that can use the pre 2026 data. So they want to use the census data that is already available with them for this entire delimitation process as well. Let's look at the next amendment, which is a reworking of Article 81, which is seat distribution. So seat allocation among the states revised, and assembly seat structure to be reworked. So here is where the Board of Contention is. They want to revise how there has been allocation of seats to each state, and that's where the southern states are somewhat feeling that they might be left out in this kind of delimitation process, which involves only population based census. So this is why this whole controversy erupted. Let's also look at another amendment, which is early implementation of women's reservation. So 33% women reservation enabled after delimitation removes weight linked to 2023 census timeline. So they also want early implementation of the reservation for women in the parliament, and that's how they are linking both these two issues. However, they are separate, remember. Let's look at another amendment, which is the formation of the Delimitation Commission, and the commission to be set up by the centre notification headed by a Supreme Court judge includes ECI members. So they will obviously set up a committee for the delimitation process, which will be headed by a Supreme Court judge, and they will also have certain members of the Election Commission of India. And then we have the last amendment, which is functions of Delimitation Commission, which will be allocating seats to the states and union territories, deciding the SC and the SC reservation seats, redrawing the assembly constituencies. So this is something that we all in fact will be looking at. These are some of the changes that the commission will also be proposing, including the seat distribution at the centre level and the state level as well. Let's in fact take this discussion forward with Dr. Yamuna Pathak, who is a political analyst. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out your time and for speaking to newsX. A very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Pathak, first of all, there are two issues here. One is of delimitation and the other of women's reservation. We are seeing quite a lot of controversy regarding the delimitation process, because the southern states think that if it is population based, they might lose out to the northern states. Do you believe that this is something that should be looked at? Because they are planning, in fact, if you look at Tamil Nadu, they are planning a statewide protest if this discussion goes ahead.
Absolutely, that is absurd, because it is just not one or two. Like if you look at for over more than 7 decades after independence, where Indian women were told they were equal, but systematically they were denied the real political power, because we all know what is the hindrance there. The constitution gave voting rights in 1950, but the parliament remained a male fortress, which we should have, which is a agreeable fact. Though it is, the representation stayed stuck almost in tokenism, while political parties across ideologies they refuse to give women their share of tickets or their stand in the parliament. So the so-called champions of equality repetitively fail to translate this promise into representation. And if you look at, if we're talking about the delimitation part, see, amending constitutional provisions like Article 82 to allow delimitation before the next census, it breaks the policy inertia and it also fast tracks the electoral restructuring. So based on this, it was stopped earlier. So we have to understand this kind of thing. This move reflects the proactive statecraft, anticipating demographic shifts and also institutional strain rather than reacting later. So especially when you're implementing these kind of things, targeting 2029 elections, so the process today, by increasing the number from 543 to around 850, this basically gives that kind of a space for justice. So there is what is there to contradict. It is all about the dominance, as what I said, it has been, which has been happening with patriarchal kind of a system which has been prevalent all this while. So it is all the fear of losing seats, fear of sharing power, or fear of change. This is what's been happening for all these decades. Now there is no such space given to them. So women will have by their own share of 250 seats. You will have women from all walks of life coming and having their share in the parliament today. So if you talk about this reservation, there is a big hindrance, not just now. The first bill was introduced somewhere around 1996, and it was lapsed without a passage. And if you look at it again, written back in the 1998 and also consequently in the 1999. But what happened? It was only disrupted the same way, the way now people are with some political, kind of self-centered politicians in some states. They have their own self-centric interest, which that's how even when you see in 1998, 1999, this is what happened. It was totally disrupted, derailed, and also buried again. So I mean, probably I think now in the entire country where the 50% of women population today, they are aware about what their rights and things are moving in a right direction right now. And if not now, never. So I wish that it should really happen. So
Absolutely.
in 2008 also it again resurfaced. What happened? In 2010 it was passed in Rajya Sabha, but never saw the light in Lok Sabha. Why? These kind of questions arises, and for about already more than 3 decades now, exactly when this process started. For women who's half of the population in the country today, it took them for 30 years. 30 years. There was a political hesitation then, but the political hesitation now will not have any impact, because any self-interest or any political hesitation cannot block the women's rightful entry into power sharing.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
Absolutely right. Thank you so much, Dr. Pathak, for your perspective.